Well, a major concern for Afghanistan is the future of women's rights. As US forces leave, there are fears that the Taliban could threaten the security and gains made by women over the past decade. One of the women who's been working with the Afghan government on these issues is Hossai Wardak. She's in Washington this week, meeting with American officials and lawmakers, and she joined me just a short time ago. President Karzai is adamant that al-Qaeda-linked groups won't gain a foothold in Afghanistan once the Americans leave. Is he right?
Well, it pretty much actually depends on the political situation that we are having and how far the international community is actually committed in terms of staying in Afghanistan beyond actually their providing their support. And I think we have a very thin line between his talking that whether that would really happen or not. And I think that's extremely concerning because, yes, there is a very short line that probably if the donor assistance are really withdrawn, especially when the budget is being so heavily funded by the donor community,
yes,
and we have less number of troops.
It's going to be very problematic. But just how hostile do you worry that extremists in Afghanistan would be to women's rights?
Well, I think it's pretty clear from the onset that one of the issues that they have always been bringing it up, even in the peace talk, is the women's rights issues, and they're pretty much, stick to the issues on the women's rights, their mobility, their participation in the governance, their participation in the daily lives.
Right. So how do you think the gains women have made in Afghanistan since 2001 can be protected once the Americans leave?
I think it is really a concerning issue because with a very little bit of problem, we can actually, fall all apart. And I think, with a little bit of insecurity, actually, we are going to all lose. The other concern that women were having, especially with the talks when we had for one of our researchers with the women at the provincial level, they obviously the drawdown and the shrinking of funding, the international community funding in Afghanistan, and their concern was that the soft target, both for the international community and as well as for the Afghan government, is going to be programs supporting Afghan women. So definitely those are the concerns that women are raising, that probably their programs will be cut short.
And how do you try and argue against the Taliban on the ground in Afghanistan when people say women don't have a right to an education?
I think, we have to, one message is pretty much clear. We don't have to jeopardize the gains of women by classification of Taliban as good Talibs who are going to come and sit with us on the table and as bad Talibs. They're the terrorist groups. They have killed people, so there's no justification to say that, probably they will accept women to go to school till primary, so those are going to be the good Talib. They have actually been very straightforward in terms of their, their clear agenda against women. Women should not be there if they do not want women to be on the table with peace negotiations. So how can we expect them that they would allow them next year to participate?
And yet women are voting in record numbers, aren't they, in the presidential election to replace Hamid Karzai?
I think that's a very clear message both to Taliban that there's absolutely no to what exactly they want when it comes to women's rights issues and to completely isolate their rights, and as well as to the government of Afghanistan that they have to go back and revisit their strategies when it comes to peace and reconciliation with Taliban.
Hossai Wardak, thank you very much for joining us.